Welcome to the weekly worship service of the First Church in Boston, a Unitarian Universalist congregation in Back Bay. First Church offers this broadcast each Sunday morning from 11 a.m. to noon, here on 88.9 WERS. Our guest minister for today is Reverend Kenneth M. Reeves. His sermon is entitled Mystery at Walden Pond.
In the warmth of love, may you live the fullness of being alive, and in that fullness find peace. Through justice and understanding, may humanity be at peace, and may all of life on earth live together in balance and peace. I'm the Reverend Ken Reeves. It's good to be with you all. I visited here in February, and I'm honored to be visiting again. Thank you for having me back. There's a little paragraph introducing me in the order of service. I'm a Unitarian Universalist minister. I'm also a clinical psychologist, and you can read about that. And if I were to introduce this congregation to anyone who might be visiting here this morning, I would say that we are a support community for people on various journeys towards ultimate goals, such as love, or peace, or union. And one of the ways we support each other is by valuing together openness. We're part of a denomination that has no creed, which means that we are open to new ideas, new revelation, and that we don't claim to have all the answers all the time, and that instead we can appreciate a good question. And I know that when I'm wrestling with a question, I'm more open to experience the intricacies of being alive, because in that experience there could be answers. And then, in effect, I'm on a journey. And conversely, when I believe I have all the answers, I would close myself off to experiences that would contradict that and shut down the journey. But openness is difficult to maintain in isolation, and so I appreciate a community that with its openness supports my openness and supports my journey. And that's what, and this community is in a sort of a journey and an exploratory journey right now, given that you're in an interim period and looking for a new minister. And that's what today's service is about. It's about a community coming together with an attitude of openness to explore. The sermon, I will tell, is a story, and all of the stories I tell are true. Except they may not always adhere scrupulously to actual facts and events. Nevertheless, it's a story that has some merit to it, and it's a little bit of an irreverent story as well. I mean, most stories and sermons you would hear are reverent, as it should be, but today's, not so much. Nevertheless, I offer this service out of my caring for you and my desire to support you on your journeys. I hope that as you journey, you find love and freedom and encounter serendipitous discoveries. We'll sing together a hymn, Gathered Here, which in a song, in a way, distills and captures the whole point of the sermon. It's number 389, Gathered Here.
This is in 4 parts. This is a round. So I want you to pick your favorite number, 1, 2, 3, or 4. You can't pick 5, 6, 7, or 8. Pick 1, 2, 3, or 4, and that's going to be your number in the round. So when they get to your number, then you go, and then you get to number 3, and then the 3 people go. You've done rounds before. We're going to sing it all the way through once, and the choir's going to be doing a lot to help you. We're going to do it once through together, and then we're going to repeat it twice. Once you repeat it twice, so I'm going to show you how it goes first.
I'm James Quixote McConnell, your announcer and broadcast engineer, alongside Craig Hildreth. The music director at First Church is Gigi Mitchell Velasco. The prelude for today was Funeral March of a Marionette by Charles Gounod, arranged by W.T. Bestand. The postlude will be Little Prelude and Fugue in D minor, attributed to Bach.
There are some announcements, a couple announcements in the back of the order of service, including one that would remind us that the flower communion is next week.
The anthem for today is Choose Something Like a Star by Virgil Thompson. Our broadcast is brought to you from the Ken Orton Memorial Studio in honor of the original radio voice of First Church.
Gigi and choir. Choose something like a star has a yearning quality. And similarly, a prayer can express a yearning. Dear God, Spirit of union, in my life I yearn for and seek something mysterious. Like a star, I can see it, yet it seems so distant. Stars, the infinite space, I can feel small and alone. And then I mysteriously accept my tiny place in the cosmos and feel at peace. Was that you saying, "Here, I grant you peace"? Then someone offers a friendly greeting and I feel reassured. Was that you sending one of your angels to say, "Here, you are loved"? Maybe so. Thank you for your gifts. Let us take this time for silence. Amen. My reading is a paragraph from Walden. It's an enigmatic paragraph referring to images never touched on or developed anywhere else in the book. It's a passage I read and go, what is he talking about? There's the sort of lofty interpretation that he's talking about seeking in general. There's the literal interpretation that I explore in my sermon. He writes, "I long ago lost a hound, a bay horse, and a turtle dove, and am still on their trail. Many of the travelers have spoken concerning them, describing their tracks and what calls they answered to. I have met one or two who have heard the hound and the tramp of the horse, and even seen the dove disappear behind a cloud. And they seemed as anxious to recover them as if they had lost them themselves." This is a sermon about ministry and a decision to enter the professional ministry. And I'm glad to offer
You are listening to the Sunday worship service of First Church in Boston, Unitarian Universalist on WERS.
in the ministry of the congregation. And since you are then ministers, you can understand that of which I speak. Not everyone understands. Indeed, people from my former profession say, "Ministry? What's up with that? And how did you, of all people, decide to enter the ministry?" They might have been thinking of my cynicism or my sinfulness, or both, probably both. Anyway, I say, well, ministry is about caring for people and supporting spiritual communities and making life better, which I realized I wanted to do. And that's true, but the real truth is more mysterious than that. It all began one autumn afternoon many years ago, back when I was a private detective. It had been another boring day at the office. I had my feet on my desk and was wondering whether 1 o'clock was too early to take a nip of Scotch whiskey when she walked in. She was someone. People would know it when she was approaching, think of little else when she was there, and remember it when she had gone. With green eyes looking deep and liquid into mine, she said, Mr. Reeves, I need your help. Her voice went down easy like a velvety wine of exquisite vintage. My husband, she continued, the millionaire financier J. Pierpont Farquharson III, who is 50 years older than me, is missing. Here is his picture. If he is gone from my life, I do not know what I will do. Her eyes embraced mine and did not let go. Was I guessing, or did she think I might have some role to play in what she might do with the rest of her life? I ventured, maybe you don't need him around anymore. Maybe I don't, she returned, but I do need someone strong who can protect me. Maybe I can find just such a person, I offered. Maybe you won't have to strain yourself looking. With all this flattering talk, I started fantasizing about life with Mrs. Farquharson. Gazed out the window, saw an old duffer buying carrots at a market across the street, and before I could stop myself, blurted, "Is that him?" "It is," she moped. "Darn. Well, here's $50, thanks a lot." And she left my office and my life. And I decided, yes, I would begin work on that bottle in the desk. It was cheap and burned the tonsils, but soon I was swimming. When a man walked in smelling of pine, he said, "I long ago lost a hound, a bay horse, and a turtle dove, and am still on their trail." Many other travelers have spoken concerning them, describing their tracks and what calls they answered to. I have met one or two who have heard the hound and the tramp of the horse, and even seen the dove disappear behind a cloud, and they seemed as anxious to recover them as if they had lost them themselves. I said, "You talk funny. What's your name?" "Thoreau," he said, and took off his hat. His clothes were rough and worn, but he seemed proud of his station in life. I said, "I'm good at finding people. Too good. Never done the missing animal racket before." I glanced out the window, hoping to get lucky, but no. "Where were they last seen?" I asked. "Around Concord, Massachusetts." "Really?" I was going to go around hollering, "Here, doggy," through some New England burg. "This'll cost you," I said, $20 a day, plus expenses. Thoreau pulled out a piece of paper. "I have a surplus in my bean crop I could give you, and I could do some carpentry or day labor for you, but I can't pay anything. It has already cost me $28.12 to build my house at the pond, and another $33.87 for my farming, food, and clothing for incidentals for this year. But I earned $36.78 selling my beans and doing day labor. But I've spent the $25.21 I had saved, so I don't have any money to offer you." I asked, "What's so important about a hound, a horse, and a dove?" "They are a dream," he said. "And if one advances confidently in the direction of a dream and endeavors to live the life which one has imagined, one will meet with success unexpected in common hours." I stared at him, thinking of how my dreams of life with Mrs. Farquharson had gone flat. I don't know why. Maybe I feared that too many disappointments and not enough dreams could harden me into granite. Or maybe this Thoreau had a gleam in his eye I could learn something from. Whatever the reason, I agreed. "Okay, I'm in." I stowed the bottle in my desk, pulled on my coat, and the two of us caught the next train on the old Fitchburg Railway out to Concord. When we arrived, Thoreau said that his friend, Ralph Waldo Emerson, would have a room for me, and that I'd find him at Wright's Tavern or out in the Common. And with that, he strode off along a faint path into the woods. As I watched him, I observed a spring in his step and a rhythm all his own, like it was marching to the beat of a different drummer. At the tavern, I asked for a scotch and said to the bartender, "I'm looking for a friend of Thoreau's, Ralph Waldo Emerson. You know him?" "Everyone knows Waldo," he said. "I'd like to meet him." "He's around someplace. You can't miss him. Funny hat, glasses." I scanned the patrons of the establishment. People drunk, sleeping, brawling, being thrown out a window, people flirting, kissing, dancing, playing music, sliding down banisters. In the midst of this mayhem, no one stood out. Finally, I yelled, "Where's Waldo?" Someone pointed to a tall figure outside striding across the village green. I went out to the man and asked, "How you doing?" He said, "Crossing a bare common at twilight, under a clouded sky, without having in my thoughts any occurrence of special good fortune, I have enjoyed perfect exhilaration. I am glad to the brink of fear. Standing on the bare ground, my head bathed by the blithe air and uplifted into infinite space, all mean egotism vanishes. I become a transparent eyeball. I am nothing. I see all. The currents of universal being circulate through me. I am part or parcel of God." I frowned and beat both my brain cells together about this testimony, but couldn't make anything out of it, so I shifted to my business. I said, "Thoreau hired me to help locate a certain hound, bay horse, and turtle dove. My name's Reeves, Ken Reeves, Private Eye." He took me to a comfortable manse in the village, and we sat by the fire. I asked, "Do you know anything of the whereabouts of these animals?" "I know they are out there," he mused. "Where should I start looking?" "I can't tell you. Truly speaking, it is not instruction but provocation I can give another soul." He said, "Trust yourself. Avoid the well-worn path. Refuse the good models, even those held sacred in the imagination of society. Obey thyself." I said. The next morning, I began tramping through the woods. I wear out my shoe leather on pavement, so this wilderness was new to me. I thought, where would a dog, a horse, and a bird be? Had they been taken by someone? There was no ransom note. Were they just wandering confused in the forest? If so, my wandering confused might find them only to join the ranks of the lost. Were they hiding intentionally, finding some perverse pleasure in baffling these Dottie-conquered types? If so, they could be watching me now and stifling giggles. After a day of wandering, I found no animals, except I saw some little gray birds flitting through the trees and watched some ducks or something swimming and diving in a lake. I found a tiny cabin and sat and rested. The autumn air was cooling. Up walked Thoreau. "Good day, Mr. Reeves. Would you like to join me for dinner? I bake a bread of rye and Indian corn meal." He did. He baked them over a fire, and the loaves were surprisingly good. We discussed the search. He had been looking too. So had Emerson. No results. I said, "Okay, Thoreau, spill the beans." "Oh, yes," he said. "I forgot. Let's have some of my beans." When I began gardening, I was determined to know beans, and I have. "What I mean," I said, "is you've been hiding some of the facts. First off, why are you living here in this cabin?" "I went to the woods," he said, "because I wish to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life and see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not when I came to die discover I had not lived. I did not wish to live what was not life. Living is so dear. I wanted to live deep and suck out all the marrow of life, to live so sturdily and Spartan-like as to put to rout all that was not life, to cut a broad swath and shave close, to drive life into a corner and reduce it to its lowest terms. I thought with all his wacko ideas, he ought to write a book. But the man had a purpose, and there was that gleam in his eye. My mug, no gleam. I continued to question Thoreau. Where do the animals fit in? Have they been kidnapped? Are you being extorted? Or are they just dumb animals who've wandered off with the wrong crowd? He kept shaking his head. Okay, Thoreau, is there any reason these animals might want to avoid you? At this point, other clients would have broken down crying or taken a swing at my chin. Thoreau just gazed at the pond like it had the answers. I thought, it's a nice pond, but something's missing, and not just a dog, a horse, and a bird. Grown man out alone in the woods, and sure, the woods are lovely, dark, and deep, but something does not add up. Days continued with searching. I might see Thoreau at his house, Emerson at his, never bumped into them in the woods. Weeks went by, the leaves dropping, trees now bare, air turning cold, no sign of the animals. I stayed with Emerson at nights. Sometimes he had a group over, called themselves transcendentalists. I would hang around. You never know where a clue is going to turn up. But what a crew. Margaret Fuller, Orestes Bronson Alcott, talking about philosophers, Kant and Locke, and of Goethe. They kept trying to figure out ways to improve society. Emerson saw improvement happening when one is aware of the infinite relations in nature and of one's belonging to those relationships, giving one a sentiment of moral virtue. They asked me what I thought might improve society. I said, my society would be improved by the addition of one green-eyed Mrs. Farquharson III, thank you very much. And after that, they left me alone. But I kept thinking about infinite relations, and not just with Mrs. Farquharson. Emerson might have an idea there. The next evening in Thoreau's cabin, sitting by his fire after a cloudy, frustrating day, I said, Henry, how about if the two of us search together? He looked alarmed. His artist eyes darted around the room like those of a perjuring witness finally squirming. He said, I know about one or two with whom I can afford to walk. I find it wholesome to be alone the greater part of the time. On the other hand, I think I love society as much as most, and am ready to fasten myself like a bloodsucker to any full-blooded man who comes my way. Yes, tomorrow, let's look together. Imagine my delight at having a bloodsucker fastened on. But this was a tough case and required more infinite relations than currently existed. It snowed that night. Next morning, we set out, taking no particular course, still eschewing the well-worn path. Thoreau, an optimist, said that the snow would make tracking easier. It was light and powdery, cleaner than city snow, clinging to branches and pine needles. Thoreau identified the chickadees for me. A few came down and pecked at his clothes. So seedy, I suspect the birds found nourishment. But by afternoon, we were cold and discouraged when Thoreau spotted a track in the snow. We peered at this single horse print, one print, alone in the snow. How, I asked. He shrugged with a dreamy smile as if to say, I realize this does not make sense, but in a way it does. I leaned over for a close look and sniffed for a trace of the cold iron of the shoe. We walked in widening circles around the track, but that was it, one track. The idea that they knew we were looking and were toying with us grew in my mind, but I detected no motive for malice. Were they playing a practical joke? That night I told the transcendentalists what had happened. I suggested we all pair off and look. I said it would improve society. The next day, Margaret Fuller and Emerson found a single dog print, and Bronson felt a little dust of snow fall on them from a hemlock tree and saw a bird flying away. Thoreau joined us that evening, everyone excitedly comparing notes. I almost allowed myself a little enthusiasm. Emerson was saying, "Together we are," when a dog howled. Everyone hushed. It howled again, the bay of a hound. We rushed out into the night. The moon was big. We strained our eyes. It howled again. Some wanted to go look now. Others wanted to wait till morning. They began to debate. A bunch of philosophers and individualists, everyone thinking independently. How can they agree? They turned to me. "What do you advise?" "I advise we discuss it inside," I said. "I'm colder than Al Capone in Alaska." They gave me funny looks, but we went in, and the debate raged on. Motion, amendment, amendment to the amendment, friendly amendment, motion to table, point of order, call the question. We discussed it all night, and by dawn it was a moot point. But the next day we combed through the woods, calling to each other. We found more tracks, 5 hoof prints in a row, and from across the pond heard a whinny, and some dog tracks, and more dusting of snow. That night spirits were high, and I suggested we include the rest of the town. Thoreau said that other people were anxious to find them. Let's test his theory. And if they do help look, the more detectives, the better. With this suggestion, people's eyes danced around like Thoreau's when I had suggested the two of us search together. One said, "But they're different from us." Another said, "We won't have the same intimacy." A third asked, "What will it cost?" They seemed afraid, so I backed off. But after more days of searching together, yet coming up with nothing, welcoming the rest of Concord sounded better. We pooled some money, went to the tavern, and announced a round of drinks on the transcendentalists. Plying the townfolk with liquor was my idea. I stood on a chair and described the search for the hound, bay horse, and turtle dove that Thoreau had lost. I said, "We have found clues, but the animals seem to be eluding us. We want to invite you to join the search." An old man spoke up. "I've seen tracks, heard the hound and the tramp of the horse, even seen the dove disappear behind a cloud. But no one's ever asked me to join them and help look." "We're asking now," I said. "Okay, I'm in." And there was the proof. Thoreau was right. People do want to look. Someone else chimed in. "We need a name to call ourselves." And they started offering names: the Skeptics and Searchers, the Free Thoreaus, the Walden Ponderers. And in the midst of it all, I called out, "We're a team. Let's just be the team. Give me a T for Thoreau, T. Give me an E for Emerson, E. Give me an A for Alcott, A. Give me an M for many people, all of us here." I don't understand what happened next, but as everyone was cheering M, the door burst open and a bay horse trotted up to Thoreau and nudged him with his nose. A hound ran in behind him, wagging his tail and jumping up on everyone. And a bird flew in and flittered around the room. And then a second flew in and someone yelled, "2 turtle doves." As horse and dog and doves greeted everyone, I knew that something had happened, but didn't know what, and was standing uncharacteristically dumbfounded when I saw the horse gaze at me with a knowing eye, and wink. Emerson invited me to stay on through Christmas. Everyone was so joyful, I agreed. I admit, the joy was infectious. The team celebrated in the tavern and sang carols. Emerson looked at the gathering and said, "Behold, such infinite relations, such a oneness." And I've learned something, that oneness is not just in nature. People can create a oneness. And for once, I understood him. When we worked together, the animals appeared. But solving one mystery raised others. What had really happened? Was there something magical about our infinite relatedness, about forming a team that worked in this case? How did the animals know to appear the moment we formed a team? Where had they been hiding? And where had that second dove come from? I suspected avian hanky-panky, and that something new would be hatching come spring. Finally, as I walked to take the Fitchburg Railway home, people were cheering, "Give me a T!" Horse and dog were running and doves flying, and I dreaded my dreary office. And so, as you know, I went off to study for the ministry. Being ministers yourselves, maybe you can understand why. But how do I explain it to the cops and crooks and dames of my former profession? That life on a team, on the trail of an elusive dream, is more wondrous and mysterious than I had guessed. And that I wanted to join just such a team, embarked on just such a trail. Well, in the Concord Tavern, they sang Christmas carols together. It's untimely to do that today, but we can still sing a song about or hymn about oneness and be at one as we do. Let's sing together, "We Would Be One," number 318. comes together is when it pools its resources to create the programs and offerings of this congregation. And so we will, on that behalf, take the offering.
And now for the offertory, Stand By Me by Lieber, Stoller, and King, arranged by D. Leeser, featuring Noel Velasco tenor. If you'd like to support the work of the church with a financial donation, you may write out a check to First Church Boston and mail it to 66 Marlborough Street, 02116. You can also donate via text. Simply text the dollar amount, 5, 10, 20, etc., to 617-917-5610. You will receive confirmation by email. Thank you.
not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And we'll sing another song that involves about a community coming together. The text is slightly longer. It goes, "Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, though you've broken your vows 1,000 times, come yet again, come." Everybody can be included, even, well, me.
So we're going to do this again as a round. So if you'll remember from the first round, you all selected a number, your favorite number between 1 and 4. We'll sing it once through together, and then 2 more times in the round. So I'll play this through, and then once in unison, and then 2 times in the round. Choir, ushers, everyone who is here for this service. Glad we can be together. When we come together, things happen. What brings us together? A shared quest for something good, a better world, a meaningful purpose, love, and then
Please feel free to join us live each Sunday at 66 Marlborough Street at the corner of Berkeley Street and Back Bay. If you'd like more information about programs, services, or membership at First Church, please visit the website www.firstchurchboston.org or send an email to office@firstchurchboston.org. I'm James Quixote McConnell, your announcer and broadcast engineer alongside Craig Hildreth. Thank you so much for listening. We will now return you to the studios of WERS.